Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. I can't wait to tick this entertainment box because I have to tell you about somebody so incredibly special. Born and raised in Expresso and Dolpha on the Cape Flats, Chesray Dolpha's story is one of quiet revolution. Now today, she's a Tony-nominated theatre producer and a storytelling strategist whose work spans Broadway, Harlem, Columbia University, and soon back home right here in the mother city. Now Chesray's leadership on stage and behind the scenes centers one thing: stories that move people, shift power, and also amplify communities, often pushed to the edges, to the periphery. Now this Youth Month, we're honored to speak with someone who has become a global voice grounded in local truth. Chesray, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
You look absolutely stunning.
You're stunning.
Stop it. Look at this. No, I love this. So I know that I mentioned that you grew up with both Expresso and Dolpha carried with you.
Yeah.
Do you ever recall back to those moments when you are in spaces that you never imagined yourself to be? Do you carry it with you everywhere?
Everywhere. It's so deeply installed. I mean, I come from a generation where my grandmother, helped my mother raise us, and, just a legacy of women, supporting me, telling me how to move, how to be, how to exist in spaces. And so, yeah, I feel like I stand on that kind of legacy and I take that with me everywhere.
Oh my goodness. I just know that your Oma and your mother looking at you like, oh, that's my girl. That's my... Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even me. Like, I'm sitting here going, yes, girl, thank you for representing something that is so incredible on international stages, right? Working in New York's theater scene.
Yes.
I mean, that is incredible in and of itself. Never mind being nominated. We'll get into that. But I know that it's a constant battle of ego versus having to bring your art, your calling, your voice to the table. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, I think I tried to navigate it by staying grounded in how I was raised and being in touch with my selfhood and the things that I feel like I was raised as, like, there was earmarked as important to my mother, showing up with care, showing up with grace, and helping people or supporting people from a place of love. And so I try to move in that way. I try to create, rehearsal spaces, producing spaces that feel joyful and inclusive. And I hope that, I'm doing it, you can just try, and that's what I think I try and do every day.
That's the best part.
Yeah, moment by moment, I say, But that's how I think I try to approach those spaces. And, you always have to talk to ego and say, ego, asseblief, vat jou plek. Gaan sit.
Please, there's no space here for you.
There's no space for you, yeah.
But, I mean, let's talk a little bit about New York, New York. I think that is so beautiful. Yes, you must move with kindness and compassion, but it's New York, baby.
It's New York, I know, 100%.
Tell me more about it.
Listen here, there is nothing like the energy of New York. And I became a creative. I've been in New York for 17 years almost. I've been there a lifetime. So I really became a creative in the New York City scene. And there's something about the energy, the hustle, that makes you a better artist and creative, because you are continuously in rooms with people who worked so hard to be there, who's done everything they had to do to be there, and so have I. And so, when you're in those rooms, in those spaces, you try to, be assured, straighten up your spine a little bit and square the shoulders off, and take up space. And so, yeah, I think that's one way that I'm trying to kind of navigate it. But New York City really teaches you a hustle that I think is unlike anywhere else in the world. And it has allowed me to build a rigor in my artistic practice that I just am so proud of.
And when it comes to your artistic practice, I mean, storytelling is probably the main thing that you do, whether it's production, rehearsals. So what story are you trying to tell?
You know what? I think so far the stories that have come to me, the stories that somehow has found its way to, my artistic hands, has been the stories of Black women and Black femmes and Black queer voices. In New York at this point, I'm almost directing exclusively work around either written by Black women, produced by Black women, where the lead is a Black woman. And so a lot of my work, I think, has kind of centered around this. And again, building on the legacy of Oma and my ma and all aunties wat my groot gemaak het. So I feel like my work has really come to center like those identities and it's also a room that I feel very comfortable in often because it's a room that represents how we were raised in a way. So I think that's part of the voices that I'm trying to center and support in my work.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. I feel like many young girls and boys might be looking at you, and we all know that representation matters, right? And you are standing in the space of international representation. So if you were to encourage them to trust in themselves, to be assured in their own artistic voice, what would you tell them today?
You know, don't wait for people to produce your work, to write your work, to sing your work, to put your work on a stage. You know, for a lot of us, it started off in church. You know, I grew up in a Pentecostal Pinksterkerk. You know, kring dans, in tale praat, uitval, okay? That's what I'm saying. So I think, you know, a lot of us come already from these places where we get to see people on all kinds of platforms. I think you shouldn't wait for people to come and acknowledge it or for people to come and fund it. You write it, you do it, you put it on a stage, learn your craft, put energy into it. If it's singing, learn how to be a good singer, sing at whatever, you know, civic function there is. Like, don't take those small stages for granted, because I feel like that's where a lot of us build some of our tenacity, is that you start learning from a very early age. What does it mean to put on a show in Bialao, in Eitzig? And then from there to maybe a bigger stage, and then from there to a bigger stage. But you have to start small, because I think that's really how you build character.
Sure, 17 years in New York, but we will claim her till the end of days. Thank you so much, always and forever. You are such an inspiration, and I know that many people, young and old right now, are watching you. So proud of you, and also can't wait to see you come home with more awards, more nominations.
Yes, and I'll see you in New York, right?
Yes, that's where we will meet up next. Manifestation Station is what we call it, and we will definitely be flaring our artistic flair out there in New York. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.